All right. Hello. Let's get to it because, excuse me, I probably only have like 30 minutes here. Wanted to squeeze one in, like I said, before I went out on parental leave, I suppose. Our second daughter is going to be born today. We're going in. It has to happen. So, anyway, might be the last live stream for a couple weeks. Last time I worked on this dirty option for Pint, and Nuno, had some good feedback. We had some discussions on Telegram and so forth, and these are kind of the three things he wanted to kind of fix up. Most of these things were actually mentioned in the previous live stream. Basically, some things that I was a little concerned about. So let's go through them, and then I'll start hacking them out. So the path, basically he said, in theory, you should be able to use the path option as well as the dirty option to kind of format files that are underneath that path and that are dirty. I think right now we're basically just ignoring path, but if you think about it, like, let's say, even though I'm in, I could run pint -- dirty on, /laravelshift.com. Like, that's a project that's using Git. It's not necessarily the directory I'm in. In my opinion, that's a little awkward. Again, we talked about it in the last stream, but it sounds like Nuno kind of wants that to happen. I don't know if that means, I would also filter by a subdirectory potentially of that. That would be hard to do because probably what's going to happen is you're going to kind of cd into that directory and then you're going to run, the git command. So, I don't know what that looks like. It'd be hard to determine. The point is it would be a little bit difficult to determine what the root directory of the Git project is relative to like what you passed. So even though this would probably work for all dirty files in the Laravel Shift repo, it wouldn't necessarily limit them to just app models, again, because I don't know that that is the base of the repo and this is a subfolder. There's probably multiple commands you could run to figure that out and kind of infer that, and again, I think that's an add-on, but for now, having it run dirty in another project that's passed through path needs to be supported. So that's kind of number one. Realistically, he was saying, this option makes more sense to also do new files. So right now it's just doing tracked files that are changed in some way or dirty. We'll want to include untracked files or new PHP files as well. And then I think 3 probably automatically happens, but we would just need to check it. So 3 is basically, again, make sure that other configuration for the project is included. So dirty should not, use excluded files via the configuration. Now, since we're passing everything in through kind of that finder that goes down to PHP CS Fixer, I think this probably just works. We just never really tried it. So what I want to focus on is probably this command, number 2, because I think that's most important. And then I think number 1, to kind of make sure it works underneath another path. Again, I don't have a lot of time today, so I think I'm just going to kind of spike this out, and then I'll backfill some tests, kind of like I did in the last stream. So let's get after it here. So first things first, git fetch upstream. Don't have an upstream. All right, let me map. I need to get this feature dirty bit here. So let me map this real fast. Let's copy that. Whoops, git remote add upstream that git fetch upstream. There we go. Git checkout dash. We don't need a dash, feature dirty. All right, cool. So we should have everything we need from that. And what I want to do here is let's just go start changing some files. So real quick, to just kind of look over what Nuno added, I think this git paths he kind of added underneath. So he taps this process, he adds in the path. Again, he might have kind of fixed some of this for us. So let's kind of just all see how this ends up working. So if we look at process, you can pass it current working directory. So passing it the path, again, I think is already the fix for number 1. So that's what I would have done anyway. He taps that and then calls run. I think that's just kind of a fancy use of tap, but hey, whatever. If you use tap, then you use tap, right? So okay, so this git diff is what's going to need to change. So I'm trying to make some changed files so we can make this happen. It's kind of like, what other process would we need to do here? Let's just make another process. And I think what we're going to need to do, is like a git ls files, but I kind of want to prove that. So let's touch new file.php. And if we do a git status, we'll see, of course, that stuff's modified. And if we run this git diff, we only get paths. I don't believe there's any way with git diff to say like untracked or anything. There's no option that I know of that includes untracked. So let's see what git ls files gives us. Okay, that obviously gives us everything. So I think you have to pass it like some options to say like at least the things that are changed. So let's go read about that. Just outputs the file names unless stage. Okay, so git ls files shows information about files in the index and working tree. This merges the file listing in the index with the actual working and shows different combinations of the two. Okay, interesting. First of all, let's see if we can filter this the same way we're filtering PHP files. So, of course, these are all just PHP. Let's see if there's like a markdown here. Yeah, okay, so we can still pass the -- PHP filter, so that's good to know. So now we just need to kind of like give this the right options to pass the other stuff. So -c is cache, show cached files in the output, that's the default. Show, I was trying to see if there's some kind of like unmerged, no, staged. Let's just pass a few options here and see what happens. I don't use this command that often. Okay, that's not gonna help us. I wonder if you pass it like head. Nope. Well, let's do some searches then. If anyone in the chat happens to know the git ls command, let me know. But otherwise, let's see here. Git find changed and untracked files. How can I see untracked files in Git? So of course git status would work. Yeah. Git status -- name. I don't think you can say like name only. Yeah. You'd have to go through like this interesting mode here. I really don't want to have to parse like git status. I think, yeah, there's more options than are listed here for git status. So I think there's a way to do that. Git ls others exclude standard. Oh, fancy. Let's try it. Git ls files others exclude standard. Okay, so only, I think the exclude standard is the key part here. What is that? Nope, just kidding. Others. Others is the new file. Is there also a way to say like, whoops, sorry, -- changed? Nope. -- cached? Modified? Other files in the input, modified. Okay, this is better. Add the standard git exclusions. I don't know what that means. Make the output relative to the project top directory. Recurse through submodules. Debug. Huh. Show unmerged files. Okay, so just out of curiosity, if I do a git move on, what kind of files do we have here? Do we have a PHP file top level? We do not. Let's move kernel to app moved kernel.php. Okay, so if I run this ls modified, see, I don't get that. You'd have to pass this like a crap load of options, I think. No, it's not staged. What is it? Stage. It's not very symmetrical. Ugh. That's not it either. What was the other one? Changed? Cached? Cached. I'm just kind of throwing crap at it here now. Cached. Nope, that's not it either. What to do? Someone's done this before. Come on now. ls-d get porcelain. Get ls others to list untracked files. Okay, cool. Alias for adding untracked files. Nice. Get clean df. Dash O. What's dash O? Others. Show other, i.e. untracked files. Show modified files. Okay, so we got the dash O and the dash M. That's good. I don't care about deleted. Show cached files in the output. That's the default. So cached isn't doing anything. We don't care about the mode. We wouldn't want ignore. Show unmerged files. I don't think we want that. Yeah, see, we're not getting like the renamed. Skip untracked files for matching pattern. Note the pattern is exclude. Nope, exclude from. Add the standard get exclusions, get info, get ignore in each directory, and users global. Okay, that's nice. So I think we're on the right track with those. What dash T feature is semi-deprecated for scripting purposes. Porcelain are almost always superior. Let's just go back to get status for a second. Let's just try this real quick. Get status porcelain. Can you do like a name only? No. Dash dash short. See, that's not bad, but I wouldn't want this first column, which means then you'd have to start doing things like cut. What's get diff dash c dash dash stat? Oh, I gotcha. Does that give you? Oh, I see. Can you use it with name only? So that's my changed file though. That's not my new one. Let's stick with get ls. I think there's probably going to be a way to make that happen. So let's just say get ls files, and then we said dash dash others. Well, first of all, modified, and then dash dash others, and then we have dash dash exclude standard, I think it was. Let's go back and get that. So cached isn't helpful. Okay, so this is the closest we can get, but it doesn't pick up the renamed files. It doesn't pick up renamed files right now. Technically, I suppose those weren't changed. And I don't think it has like a renamed option. Nope. Might have like a deleted option. Let's say deleted. No. killed that need to be removed. Yeah, I don't know. Unmerged. I think unmerged is like gonna trip that. Yeah, it trips the extra stat info we don't need. All right. Again, I think this is the closest we have right now, but it's not picking up the renames, which kind of annoy me. And then of course, if we add on the dash dash and then the star.php, just to prove this, we could like echo date, or well, date to the end of the readme or some crap. So now we have a readme file changed. So it's not showing up here because of that, but if we do this, then of course it shows up. So short of renamed files in git ls, which we can Google in a second, I think this is on the right track. So this fixes that second piece. Now it would be a matter of, does this work in another project? So let me see if this kind of like, who calls dirty? Just the paths. I want to see who calls this. We don't know because of fun container stuff. All right, paths repository. Where do you get used? Somewhere. We'll let you find that for a second. Let me just touch whatever.php. Let's go back. So there should be a changed file in my other directory now. So if we do php pint dash dash dirty dot slash laravel shift.com, the other thing that is a git repo, and let's just dd files so we don't actually change anything. All right, we've got some issues. App kernel, oh, I moved the kernel file. Let's move it back. Git move app moved kernel to app kernel.php. All right, let's put that back. Let's try this again. Okay, it's only working in our directory. App project, new file. Where'd app project, we changed it here for the DD. Okay, so that's good. It's actually picking up the files for our current project. This should be receiving this .path when it gets constructed with this .path. Where do you get constructed? The project path. That's not correct. Yeah. The project path is the current working directory. It's not the path that I passed in. So we need paths, get option dirty, resolve dirty paths. I think this is still okay, but we need to fix that first option. Let's go way back up to our runner. No, what is that command? The default command. And this calls execute on, yeah, okay, here we go. So here's changes. Where does changes come from? Total file is dry run. Oh wait, no, there's a do action. I kind of forgot how all this worked. There's an action here, the fix, there we go. So resolver from IO, path is project paths, input, we get the input, static resolve dirty paths. This is where we would need to pass in the path. Okay, so let's back up a second. We would resolve dirty paths with this, and resolve dirty paths is now going to receive a path, which could be null. I don't know if he's doing any type hints. We can fix that later. Let's just make it work. And then we pass this path. And if we go down to our Git repository, there it is, we would no longer use this path. We would use the path that's passed in, which could be null. So let's kind of see. So yeah, if it's passed in null, then it just assumes the current working directory. So that's all fine, but let's keep what we had there. So if you pass in a path and it's not null, then that's the path we're going to attempt to use, meaning in our example here, Laravel shift. Otherwise, it would use the current working directory. Okay, this explodes. Declaration of app must be compatible with app. Oh, of course. Good old interfaces and contracts. What a waste. All right, path. There you go. You happy? All right. Current working directory must be of type string array given. Must be of type string array given. Array. Oh. That's weird. Yeah, because you can pass in an array of paths. Oh, that's funky. That's funky times. I'm here in the chat. Let me work through this here real quick. Yeah. Dirty path. You'd kind of have to say something like if is set. This is weird. See, this is why I didn't want to support this option. If is set path 0, then I would say path 0. Otherwise, use the system path. What is this? Expression can be replaced. Oh yeah, because you can replace it with that. Although I don't think that that's true. I've played with that before, and I don't think that that's true. We'll play with that in a minute. Okay, there we go. So that is working. That is working. Whatever was in the Laravel shift project, and it was an unchanged file or an untracked file. The problem now is if you pass in like some other dir, like that's not going to work. Technically though, his example on the pull request, going back, was, pint -- path, which doesn't seem to be a real thing. Path size files need to be inferred from the given path, if any. In theory, we should be able to use pint -- path, which I don't think -- path is a real thing. Dirty to format files on the nuno.com that are dirty. So we can do this, of course, minus this path option because it's not real. Maybe it's paths. I'd have to go look at the command again, but it seems like path is what it's called. It just doesn't have the -- option for some reason. Anyway, yeah, I think we'd always have to pluck the first one. That's the example usage. You wouldn't pass multiple dirty paths for multiple different repos. That's just not supported. So I think that's a caveat to this. I think this probably works. We could test this real quick by making a Pint configuration in Laravel shift. So I think let's test that, and then it's really just a matter of figuring out how that ls command can work. So yeah, we just need to get this command dialed in to like handle all the different things. Absolute worst case scenario, I could send out two processes to kind of merge the git diff plus the git ls files to just get the others. It just seems I don't really want to have to run multiple commands. The whole point of this was to be fast. I'm sure there's a way ls paths can do it. I just need to figure it out. All right, let's go back to Laravel shift. Let's vi pint, and Let's add a not path here to see that it honors this like excluded configuration thing here. Let's try this. So if we go back and we run this, oh, of course, path doesn't exist. If we run this, it's still getting whatever. So we would need, finally, not sure if it already exists or not. The dirty option should not format files excluded via configuration file or excluded. Is excluded? He's naming all these options, but they don't exist. Default command? Am I crazy? Yeah, there's no -- exclude option. Am I crazy? There's no -- path option either. So I don't know what's going on here. Anyway, let's go check the Laravel Pint configuration. Configuring, excluding files, rules, excluding file. Okay, so exclude. If you wish to exclude all files that given, okay, so not name. So let's tap in, let's put this back in exclude. Maybe I just messed something up. Let's vi pint. Oh, well, my configuration file is totally broken anyway. So let's add a comma and try it again. Missed that part. Okay, so it's still picking up whatever. Let's see how exclude or not name is working within Pint. Exclude. All right. Configuration. So we build in a configuration factory, and we do a finder for that preset. See, the finder should still apply underneath exclude. If we go back and look at our fix code, the whole benefit of the runner was that we were passing in a pre-existing configuration. Yeah. So we resolve that from this. We get the preset. Path mode override. What other path modes do we have? Intersection. Probably not. Cache file, real path, path. Config, implode, dir name, resources, presets. Yeah, I don't know if it'll read the one from the other file or not. I think that's kind of like the tricky part here. It really kind of just depends. It probably depends on this load configuration bit here, which is this. Where's this? Okay, so the preset get file exist, this path. So what's path? Path is what? I don't know. Where's path get set? Gets passed in, but it never gets set. Strange. He's loading it from the container though, so maybe there's some fanciness in the container. App singleton. Yep, there is some fanciness in the container. So they get the option for the config, otherwise it's project path Pint. Yeah, see, honestly, I think Pint doesn't really do a good job of working the way people think it works. If I ran Pint against //laravel-shift.com right now. Forget all the dirty stuff. If I ran that right now, I don't think it would respect the configuration file in laravel-shift.com. I think it would use the one out of the current folder based on this project path because it just gets the current working directory. This doesn't actually respect the path that's being passed in, or at least the first path that's being passed in. So again, a lot of the ways that, again, I talked about last time, and the reason I punted this stuff is I don't think this works the way people think yet. I don't think it even supports this kind of behavior in the correct way already because it wouldn't honor their configuration file, which is probably why this is actually not working out of the box. And maybe to prove that, just real quick, is there pint.json file? There is in the fixture. Oh no, there is. Okay, there is one here. So let's just say I put in here whatever.php, right? This would prove that it's loading the configuration file locally and implying the exclusion even when I pass it the Laravel dirty option here. So let's see if that's true. Nope. It's still not gonna, it still doesn't even respect the exclude. So I think there's multiple problems though is the point. It's taking the current working directory's Pint configuration file. It's still not applying exclude even with dirty. That still needs to be solved. But again, I feel like if I ran this against Laravel Shift, which should be formatted correctly, that it would find, it would find some problems because I'm not following like string concatenation rules from Laravel, which is why it's finding a crap load of errors now. But if I went to mine, the not operator space, the concat space, all these little unary operator spaces are things that I reconfigured in Laravel Shift because I can't get used to those things. So if I went and ran test and didn't pass it anything but was inside of the laravelshift.com folder, I don't think I would have any Pint errors. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to stop the stream here. I'm going to fix the ls thing to work the way it should. So basically, I'm going to fix number 2, and I'm supporting number 1 insofar as you can pass it another directory. But to fix number 3, I think needs an additional PR to Pint to currently fix it so it respects a configuration file if it finds one in another directory that you're attempting to run Pint on. Because that's the whole argument for being able to use dirty on another path, is that you want to be able to run path from a global location against a sub file or a sub project, some other project, and it should respect that project's Pint configuration. That doesn't even work currently outside of this PR. So I think that needs to be fixed separately, and once it is fixed, I think it would be a little more reliable to fix excluded. So if anybody watching wants to take a stab at having, Pint honor the configuration file from an additional repository, again, this isn't passed in currently. If we go back and look at App Service Provider, just so we can see kind of what I'm talking about. Or was it in App Service Provider? Where was that? Repository Service Provider. So yeah, it gets option config. Otherwise, it uses the project path. So it has access to the options. So I think what really kind of needs to happen here is project path, in my opinion, probably needs like input passed into it, or at least like the argument to know. What this should really kind of be is, is input get argument path or whatever the right thing is here. Argument, I don't know what it is. It doesn't seem to be popping up for me, but if the path that's passed in was set, then use the first one of that and see if a pint.json file exists, and if it does, then great, right? So yeah, I think that's kind of the kicker. The funny thing is that The funny thing is that the path, I mentioned this in the last stream, I'm just thinking about this more, that this is really just all wrong. Really just, this shouldn't even exist, because if you go back and look, at, what is that, default, now I'm committed. If you go back and look at default path, it defaults to the current working directory anyway. It defaults to an array where it's the current working directory. So I don't know why this even exists. It really shouldn't exist. You should always be using the first path passed in, I think, and seeing if a configuration file exists there. So either this should be updated to potentially check for like if input has path, 0, then return that. Otherwise, then you could default to the current working directory. But again, I don't know when those would ever be different. I suppose they would be different if you passed in, Pint, laravel.shift.com, app models. Then that is different if you want to format only the stuff under app models. But I still think there's a gotcha there. There's a weird boundary case where that's not being supported correctly. And I think the fault here is this method probably either needs to do more or it shouldn't exist, and then path should be respected. The passed in path or the default path, which again is just the current working directory. So something's off here. Whenever this got added, I think it was added as a stopgap, and whatever, who knows. But yeah, until then, I can't really fix all of the things that Nuno's mentioning, because Pint doesn't even work that way already. So, but yeah, I think if I fix the ls commands, 1 and 2 should be able to fix. So I'll look at that a little bit more. I'll do some research. There's got to be a way to detect, again, kind of the additional files. So I'm sure there's some option to get renamed files, like get ls files renamed or something. There's got to be something. So I'll tool around with this. Anyway, thanks everybody for watching live. Sorry if it was a little haphazard. Again, got a baby coming later today. So I'll see you all next time.